Hello, everyone. This is Katie Kerr, and I just wanted to give you an overview of the CSS HIIM PPE manual. Um, I'll be honest, the PPE manual at this time is under a little bit of construction. We need to change a few things to just reflect some of the changes that have occurred since COVID, and even since COVID is, I think, ended. And so, uh, just so you know, as you go through this, it might look a little different now compared to the way that it looks when class begins, as Eric and I continue to work on updating it and making sure everything kind of flows and is consistent across the board. Um, as you can imagine, we had to make a lot of changes when COVID hit, and even last year we were still dealing with many of those changes. This year, things are a little bit different and also a little bit more clear in terms of a path forward and how we're going to manage PPEs. And so bear with me, but the main reason that I'm doing this is because I really want to point out the highlights. Students do not typically like to read, and they don't like to always listen to my lectures. So pick one or the other, but you need to read this manual or know what's in it for your PPE. So this is for those of you that don't want to read. I'll try to stick to the highlights and keep this uh, short, as short as I can. So, okay, so let's get started here. So over here on the left-hand side of the screen in the PPE manual, we have this link here called the basics. So we're going to start there. So it's the basics of the PPE. So this first page here talks about what the PPE is. That it's an 80-hour experience in your senior year. It's composed of two distinct pieces. And if you haven't taken your directed practice yet, which I think most of you have, if you're in this point, but the virtual directed practice is considered the first part of the PPE and is for um, online and traditional students without an RHIT. So that's what that is. Here's our philosophy and purpose on what the PPE is. So it's an essential component of the total HIIM curriculum. It's a way for students to strengthen their academic experience, and the intent is for the PPE to integrate and complement the didactic component of the curriculum through reality-oriented learning. So giving you hands-on experience and allowing you to apply what you have been learning over the last 3 years. And so that's what that is. Student educational background, so here's where we're just stating that students are, when you take your PPE, that you are in your final year of the baccalaureate program in HIIM or pursuing a post-bac certificate in HIIM, okay? Areas of observation or practice. I'm not going to go over all of these, but please take a look at this list and familiarize yourself with it, because these are the things that we're really hoping that you get to experience and get um, some exposure to while you're on your PPE. And as you can see, the list is rather long. And so obviously you're not going to get everything, but these are the things that we hope that you'll be able to see and experience, and also maybe give you some ideas of things that you could seek out while you're on your PPE if you're wondering, okay? So financial arrangements. So for the PPE, students cover their own living expenses, and if suitable, housing is located either on the organization's campus or nearby. We will provide assistance in locating the housing, and we'll ask for assistance from different sites. And students should not be substituted for paid staff. And so this is a really important thing, and you'll probably hear me say this again as the term goes on, but it's really important that you're not filling in for somebody that's on vacation or called in sick for the day. We do not want you scanning records for 8 hours while you're on your PPE. That is not what you're there for. And so doing it for an hour to experience it and to learn how they do their scanning is one thing, but being completely substituted for a paid staff position is not acceptable, and definitely say something if that happens. Okay. You, in terms of student guidance, you will be responsible to and under the guidance of a credentialed HIM professional as a clinical supervisor. So the site mentor, you'll hear me call this person several different names, probably. Sometimes it's referred to as clinical supervisor, sometimes site mentor, sometimes PPE mentor, PPE site supervisor. All of those terms apply, and it's the same person. So the site mentor is that person that you're going to be accountable to while you're on your PPE. The site mentor may assign different mentors to help you navigate your PPE, okay? But it's your responsibility to understand the relationships required to complete the PPE. So if a mentor is assigned, the student should clarify and know who the go-to person is for questions, advice, and assistance. And you're also responsible for understanding learning outcomes and should be closely involved in the planning and targeting of necessary experiences, meaning work with your mentor to make sure that you're getting the information and experiences and knowledge that you need in order to complete the learning outcomes established for your PPE. Okay. The college does carry a comprehensive liability insurance policy, and a certificate of insurance can be provided upon request. We do require that students submit to background checks. This is all part of the uh, Castle Branch items that we will have you complete prior to your PPE. So all students residing in Minnesota are asked to complete the caregiver background check through the Minnesota Department of Health and Human Services. And if the student's from another state, the student will complete the background check for their state of residence, if possible. But please check with Eric if you have any questions about this. There's also a federal background check that we do, okay? And so he will give you much more information on all of that. We also we're responsible for assuring that students are immunized and are up to date before arriving at the site of their affiliation, and that we will have you submit the necessary verification of those immunizations through the Castle Branch system as well. Okay, so we need you to have a medical screening um, um, through, prior to your PPE, and you're expected to maintain a copy of that medical screening for your own records. So here's just a little FYI so that those of you that are going to healthcare organizations that are accredited by the Joint Commission, um, the Joint Commission standard actually states that students or interns need to supply the medical screening exam upon request. So say that you're at the PPE site and they happen to be having a Joint Commission survey, and a surveyor comes up to you and asks you if you can provide them with a copy of your medical screening exam, you need to be able to provide that to them. So if you are going on site, even if you're remote, you should have a copy or electronic access to that so that you can provide it. Okay. And then contact with the College of St. Scholastica. So the college will consider the appropriateness of each site to help ensure that students are provided a secure and productive educational environment. The academic coordinator of professional practice experiences, which is me, and or the HIIM program manager may make on-site visits to affiliation sites or your PPE sites when possible. And so telephone conferences, Zoom meetings, and email communication will be used to support those visits as needed as well, and to meet with students. So um, just want to let you know that we we may have those planned while you're at the PPE site, but we also do this during our like kind of off time because we want to stay in contact with those PPE mentors, but also maintain those strong relationships with them. And so just a heads up about that and to let you know that we do make site visits. And then lastly here for the basics evaluation. So the site manager or mentor must complete an evaluation at the conclusion of your PPE. And so this evaluation is really critical in the grading of the course. And so the site manager or mentor is encouraged to use an electronic survey tool. And so I will send them an email with a link to the survey that they can complete at their own, on their own time. And so um, the really evaluates your professional performance, your professional knowledge and skills, your interpersonal abilities, attributes, attitudes, and behavior. And so think of it as a job evaluation for your PPE. And that's essentially what this is. And so we will have and ask mentors to complete that at the conclusion of your PPE. We also ask that they take some time and sit down with you and give you kind of an evaluation at the end and go through it with you. It comes off much better, coming from them directly than me just sharing it with you via email after your PPE. And so if you have any questions about that, or if they have any questions about that, please direct them to me or Eric, and we'll go through that with them. So some of the definitions here, I'm not obviously not going to go through all of these, but the PPE that you guys are taking part in right now, we often refer to as the affiliation PPE or affiliation experience, as opposed to the directed practice. Okay, and so that kind of just differentiates that, but I just that's about the only definition I'm going to actually discuss here. I'm going to let you guys take some time to go through these at your own time, on your own time, okay? The criteria for selection of PPE sites and mentors, we're obviously a little bit beyond that at this point because most of you have already been placed. But if you're wondering how we pick the PPE sites, here's some guidance for you on that. And then here is some guidance on how we identify mentors at the organizations that we do place students at. And then we have termination of affiliation policy. So this is if your behavior is such that we need to actually terminate your PPE experience. And so I am going to go through all of these because they're here for a reason, and we've obviously had experiences with students and have had to terminate PPEs because of behavior. And so I want to go through these so that you're all familiar with them. So during the PPE, you are expected to conduct yourself in a professional manner at all times. You're also expected to adhere to our professional code of conduct and code of ethics. So the HEMA code of ethics. We have a student handbook that also has a bunch of guidelines in it on behavior. We have, obviously, the college has a lot of policies and procedures, and if you are interested in them, you can click on this hyperlink here. And then, of course, we also expect that you're going to follow the PPE site's policies and procedures. Students must comply with the written policies and procedures of the PPE site, the HIIM program, and the College of St. Scholastica. Students who fail to comply with these policies and procedures are in jeopardy of being removed from the PPE site, of failing the HIM 4555 PPE course, and dismissal from the HIIM program at CSS. So according to most of the PPE agreements that we have between the PPE site and the College of St. Scholastica, the PPE site reserves the right to dismiss students immediately for violations of professional behavior policies and/or a pattern of unprofessional behavior, ethical breaches, unethical behavior, violation of site policies, unsafe behavior, or criminal behavior, including but not limited to breaches of confidentiality, theft, billing fraud, and alcohol or drug abuse and use. Dismissal of a student from the affiliation site shall be reported immediately to the HIIM academic coordinator professional practice experiences at the college by the student. So if this happens to you, please contact me immediately. Dismissal from the PPE site for any of the reasons provided in number 4 above will result in immediate failure of the HIM 4555 PPE course and may include dismissal from the HIIM program at the college. Failure to present to the affiliation PPE site at the arranged time frame, and this includes those of you that are doing virtual PPEs, unless there is a verifiable emergency, and please refer to the student absences policy as well. I'm going to touch on that here in a little bit, but failure to report and to appear when you are expected to appear, if there isn't a verifiable emergency, will result in immediate failure of the HIM 4555 PPE course and may include dismissal from the HIM program at CSS. The affiliation PPE will be arranged by the HIIM Academic Coordinator of Professional Practice Experience or the HIIM Program Manager and the PPE Site Mentor. The dates and times of these PPEs should not be altered by the student. Should the student need to change the dates and times of change the dates and times of affiliation, they are to contact the HIIM academic coordinator professional practice experiences or the HIIM education services specialists, and they will work. Actually, that should be the program manager, by the way. That's a typo. That's Eric. Um, and we will work with the site mentor to alter the schedule. So know your chain of command, and that if something comes up, you need to work with me and Eric to make alterations to your schedule, and you're not to just alter your schedule independently without notifying us and working with us. Okay. An affiliation PPE will not take place without a fully executed agreement between the College of St. Scholastica and the PPE facility. If the student completes the affiliation without a fully executed agreement between CSS and the PPE facility, the student will immediately fail the HIIM 4555 PPE course, and it may result in dismissal from the HIM program at the college. So this has happened where a student was not being patient and decided that they would just work with the PPE site mentor to start their PPE in advance of an agreement being initiated between the college and the site. And that is not okay, obviously, for many reasons. And so Eric will not give you a start date, and we will not provide you with a start date until that agreement is fully executed. Okay. And then lastly, students should refer to the College of St. Scholastic policies related to probation and dismissal, as well as the appeals process if they have questions. Okay. And then our background study policy, I'm not going to read this. It goes over the state, federal, PPE background study requirements. And Eric Nordgren is the one that oversees all of this, and he will address anything here that needs to be addressed. So student absences policy is the last one here I'm going to go through in this lecture, but let's go through this. So students who are ill or who for some other reason cannot attend the professional practice experience as scheduled must notify the PP site mentor or manager as far in advance as the situation allows. So I understand that things come up, but you've also had the dates for the PPE since last spring. And so please don't schedule any doctor's appointments or things during that time. And if it just absolutely cannot be avoided, you need to let your mentor know as soon as possible when you get their contact information to make, alternate arrangements and make sure that you're able to attend that appointment or whatever. Okay. Excused absences from professional practice experiences include illness, death of a member of the immediate family, or similar family emergency requiring the student to miss scheduled experiences. In the event of an absence, it is left to the professional site manager or mentor's discretion to determine if the time can be made up, i.e., the experience missed can be recreated or rescheduled. So they'll determine if you can make it up or not. Excessive absence from the professional practice experience is defined as absence for more than 2 scheduled days during the affiliation. Excessive absence of a student from the PPE shall be reported to the academic coordinator of PPEs at the college by the professional site manager or mentor. So I will check in with them and things periodically, and do have a very good rapport with our site managers and mentors. And so I do let them know that they should let me know uh, if there is excessive absenteeism and what is considered excessive absenteeism, that they need to notify me immediately. Excessive absences will necessitate a rescheduling of the experiences missed, either at the same or a different facility, and the student will receive an incomplete per the professional practice experience until these missed experiences have been successfully repeated. So if there is just something that comes up that is a family emergency, or there's a medical situation um, and time needs to be missed, we will work with you. And so this is not meant for those of you that end up in those situations. This is meant for those individuals that decide just not to show up to their PPE for whatever reason. So please treat the PPE as if it were a job, and that the same expectations would apply um, um, to this experience. Okay, so I think that's enough for this lecture, and we'll hit the other sections of the PPE manual next time.